But if you're starting out, you don't need bougie bread.
You just need tuna and beans.
You need the cheap bread. Multigrain as well.
You need
the
bread
one that
that's
tastes
not-
bad.
You need bread that's not real bread.
You need to make your own bread. You just need flour and milk, salt. That's it.
And time.
Clearly, no, someone doesn't know how to make bread.
Dude, when you make that, can you make it like a motivational video?
What?
Like add the motivational music
Okay.
behind that. 3, 2, 1. All right, everyone. Welcome to episode 26 of Hanging with Hardcore. And today we are talking about foundations of money.
Yeah, so this is the type of stuff that the rich, they teach their kids and they pass on from generation to generation. It's kind of like the stuff that, you see like these rich, they keep on getting ahead and ahead and ahead. Well, it's very simple. They have the knowledge. With that knowledge is power, and they can keep on, progressing in life. So like, I remember like as a story, as a kid, like going to secondary college, I remember walking, like every single day, walking through the car park. And there's always that one teacher that had a BMW or a Mercedes. There's like one or two of them, And the rest, not to judge people by their cars, but they had absolute shit boxes as cars.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
But I just used to mess with my head because I'm just like, I'm pretty sure you guys get all paid roughly the same. There's some young ones that can have this, some ones, and you can argue, that they don't know how to spend their money wisely. But it just made me think, what is actually going on here? And what you find out is, if you understand the game of money and the rules of the game, what the rich teach their kids, then if you can just understand that, you can really get ahead in life and really grow your wealth to like crazy amounts. So it's not about how much money you can make, from your income, which we're taught. It's always go to school, get a great job, go to university, get a great job, and then how much cash can you make? Or can you make 6 figures a year? Can you make 100,000? That's got nothing. It's like, it's not even relevant, really.
Sounds sexy to say.
Yeah.
I got 6-figure salary, ma. No one gives a shit.
How much time are you giving that?
Oh, philosophical.
Yeah.
Did you guys have any other like stories like that used to just like spark your mind as a kid?
Well, I get like it's all. I think it is all of those ones where
Yeah.
you see the difference in kind of just wealth and like people have money, people don't have money. Why don't? Because he got so much money. Why has this person got nothing?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Think
It always felt like, coming from like maybe a lower middle class family, that's like kind of all of us. It just felt like our parents, like I know with my parents, it always seemed like we're not destined to have that.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
100%.
why not?
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
That's
that's just
interesting.
rich people. They just have money. Well,
Yeah.
why? Tell me why.
She's a good question.
Yeah, I remember like when I was a kid, my parents would we would go to like this this temple in the city, and we would always cross through Turek.
Yeah.
And every time, again, like I come from like lower middle class as well. Every time we cross through Turek, I'm like, how are these houses like this? How do these people own all this stuff? How do they have like these fancy cars? And to me, like, I just didn't know the answers.
Oh, that's
You
crazy.
know,
man.
like my parents never told me anything about money. It was like in my household, it was like taboo to talk about money.
Yeah. My parents didn't know about money. Like they didn't. Like they. The awful thing is when you're driving through Turek, looking at those houses, you and your parents have the same look on your face when you're looking at the houses. You're going, how the hell they get that shit? That's the good shit. But you don't know how.
Yeah.
And I think that's the advantage you get if you kind of have wealthy parents, because they teach you those ripper lessons. And sure, the argument, you can turn into a shit person because you have so much abundance, blah, blah, blah. If you can like really use those lessons, damn, you're starting from a real
You
good
do have
pedestal.
a head start. You do have an advantage.
Yeah,
if
for
you have
sure.
rich parents, for sure.
For sure, man.
Yeah.
Dude,
100%.
I remember I was nervous to ask my parents for like branded stuff. I was actually scared to ask them. I remember seeing my friends like wearing all this branded stuff. I have like a few stories. Like, one was a St Kilda jersey. I wanted to get a St Kilda jersey, like a branded one, and
Yeah.
I could see all my friends had it, but I was scared to ask my parents.
Up the Saints.
So-
Up the Saints.
So we went to Best and Less, and there was like this knockoff one,
Yeah.
no branding or anything. It was just St Kilda colors. I was like, yeah, mum, can you give me
Oh,
that?
what's this
Dead
like?
set. Dead set. That's exactly a story of mine. I
Dude,
promise you.
I was nervous to wear that around because it had no branding. I was like,
Yeah.
fuck, people are gonna
Dude,
say
I
shit.
did something similar. Back in the day, we used to have a thing called the Caribbean Market.
Oh,
Hey.
And,
Yeah.
we would just go there. Everything was knockoff. Everything was cheap, you know. So we could afford to have like some knockoff stuff
Yeah.
to make us
Yeah.
feel good, you know,
Yeah.
because we couldn't afford the real shit.
So that one dude always selling movies.
Yeah,
Packs up his table
Yeah,
and
yeah.
someone's coming. He's
Selling
jogging out the
movies.
back door.
selling games, pirated games.
Yeah.
That was a big
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Games are expensive. Still are
Yeah.
expensive.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Did you remember that, like the stage where it's a little bit later, you could get your pirated like Xbox 360,
Yeah.
but then it's like when online started and we had multiplayer, and you're like praying, you turn her on, connect her online, you don't get called out by Microsoft.
Really?
And
Dude,
you
they
gotta
used
pray.
to ban your
Yeah.
account.
So you got to hope that this
Really?
guy has coded it so well that you don't get caught. And like one of my Xboxes got so lucky for like 9 months I didn't get caught. And then one day, she's gone, boys. Oh shit, it's obsolete now.
Had you have just,
Fuck, I didn't know
paid
that.
for the original
Yeah.
game, you would
Yeah.
still be able to play.
And we'll just play like all these different games. And like at the end of the day, I'm like, why do I pirate it to play all these games when really I only play like 2 games anyway? I play like Halo and COD, and that's it.
You just, where's the risk to reward there, son?
Yeah, it doesn't make any
It's
sense.
too risky, son.
That is bloody hilarious.
Yeah.
Do you guys think there's an advantage from coming from that lower middle class socio-economical kind of place?
That's a good one.
Yeah, that's a good
'Cause
question.
we're talking about the advantages of growing up rich. Like one that's kind of springs to mind is that we get to kind of see both sides
Yeah.
from a different point of view. What do you guys reckon?
You guys have a question?
Absolutely, man. Yeah, like growing up, it's not easy, being a kid when your other friends get stuff and then you don't. So you just always feel like you're empty, like you want something, like you want to make up for it. So that does give you like the added drive to pursue down that road.
Yeah.
But again, like that's just like a way to get started, I reckon. Seeing both sides.
Yeah.
Yeah. It gives you that determination.
Yeah. It's that chip on your shoulder that you get.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
idea of the underdog story, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hero's journey.
But then after that, the question becomes, fuck, what are my kids going to do? 'Cause
Yeah,
man.
They will already have like money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny, like the way I guess all of us are having to build our wealth is not how our kids will have to build their wealth. They'll start from different places. So we have to almost parent differently than the way we grew up, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
That's going to be a new set of challenges. So it's interesting.
Oh, I'm sending them to boarding school, son.
Sam is just sending them off. Straight to military school. I've never seen a kid.
They get nothing, son.
That is like what a lot of billionaires and rich people do is they allocate a very, very small percentage of their wealth to their kids at the end.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Bill Gates is doing something like that. He's only giving 1%. I think he keeps one. He's giving away 99% to charity. He keeps 1%, and I think like out of that 1%, he gives some to his kids.
Yeah.
So it's like very small.
Yeah, I heard something recently. It's this is not a specific quote. It's me paraphrasing a little bit, but like what you're trying to do with kids is pass on the lessons and the morals and the virtues that you have, not necessarily just the money. Because like those kind of lessons, virtues, and morals, they'll allow them to kind of build similar amounts of wealth and help people themselves. So like you turn them into good people, not just people who kind of like are still on your piggy bank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Teach them to be strong.
It's interesting. So it's good.
Yeah, like we were saying before, though, you can't really get rich alone from just your job. That's what we were always taught. So, like to put this into perspective, we have like this little analogy here. So, we can all agree, like $200,000. If you're getting paid that every single year, that's a pretty damn good salary, right? That's a lot of money, $200,000 every single year.
I remember getting school thinking back, like, mate, 100,000,
Yeah.
fucking sweet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
back in like school, 100,000 was like equivalent to like $1 million.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like you couldn't even think of how
Yeah.
much that is.
Yeah.
So imagine this, right? Like, imagine the day Jesus was born. He was automatically like a CEO of a company making $200,000 a year. If he was doing that until today, so imagine, he just kept on working as a CEO, making $200,000 a day. So $200,000 a day. I think I said a year. If he was making $200,000 a day, not a year, we already agreed that's a lot. Until today, he still would not have as much money as someone like Jeff Bezos, who has 180 billion. So if someone was making $200,000 a day to catch up to Jeff Bezos, it would take roughly 2,465 years. So it's proving, a high-paying job, even $200,000 a day. Like, does anyone even earn $200,000 a day?
Dude,
Like, in terms of
$200,000 a
salary?
day is 73 million a year.
73 million a year.
Yeah.
So probably maybe some CEOs of like Apple might get that.
What the fuck?
Maybe. But those guys, they're gonna pass away.
Yeah, they don't live for 2,500 years.
That's like
What the
the upper
fuck?
echelon of
Yeah.
everyone.
Yeah.
So it's like the elite of the elite in any
Top.
category. So it could be like sports,
Dude.
business,
Yeah.
anything.
Even
That's
probably in
insane.
specific categories too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you'd have to be performing in those like high performing kind of industries like tech.
Yeah.
Like you said, some sports stars.
Yeah.
Like just to give like an example of sports, because I watched the Premier League, the English Premier League, and the average salary for a soccer player in the English Premier League, I think every week is £50,000 per week, which is a lot of money. So you could be an average player and you'll be well off, right? £50,000. But then you compare that to like the top 1% of players like Cristiano Ronaldo, he earns £500,000 a week just from the club. And on top of that, he'll get endorsement deals and all that kind of stuff. And then they say he makes like 100 mil a year. So like
Wow.
that's like upper echelon.
Mm.
Yeah.
And like you're still not going to catch up to Jeff Bezos.
Yeah.
And
That's
Jeff
crazy.
Bezos did that
Jeez,
in less than 30 years. He made 180 bill in less than 30 years. So
Yeah.
it's not a linear growth with
Mm.
Jeff Bezos. I think that's what we're trying to get at here.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And he's like, Jeff Bezos is obviously CEO of Amazon. So he's been able to do that by creating value for other people through his business. So what you were just talking about with Amazon just before we started the potty, do you want to maybe explain that as well?
Yeah, so just going to give a quick shout out to Friedberg, who's on the All In podcast.
Let's go.
Basically, he was just breaking down the value that Jeff Bezos provides to everyone. Jeff Bezos is essentially whatever you were going to buy from different stores, he's centralized that into like one store on Amazon.com. And what you would have normally bought at different stores, now you can buy the same thing, but for like maybe $3,000 cheaper a year. So he's centralized everything, saving you time, but he's also making it cheaper because he's buying things in bulk. So now you're saving time, money, and then it's like next day delivery as well. So he's providing you all these services in the one go, which is so much value.
Yeah.
So he's providing you more value than he's getting, and he's still worth 180 bill.
Yeah.
So like it's justified.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Absolutely. Dude deserves it, right?
Yeah.
That's
So
damn
yeah,
right
the
it is.
point is like we have to make sure that we're building up assets. We're either purchasing assets, getting rid of cash, using that cash, because cash never really goes up in value, right? It's not like you can hold $100 and in 20 years you're going to be rich from that $100. But with assets, if you invest that wisely, it can grow bigger and bigger and bigger with you. So you can either buy them, or like Jeff Bezos, you can build it. It's a little bit harder to build it. It'll take more skill, more time, more effort. But that's how you really actually get true wealth, by providing some sort of value or investing in things that are providing value. So there's a lot of examples of like assets. So you want to think of like your own finances like a balance sheet, a very simple accounting balance sheet where you have assets on one side and you have liabilities on the other. Assets are just anything that's putting money in your pocket, which is kind of paying you tomorrow, making you more wealthy tomorrow and the next day on and so on. And then liabilities are just anything that's taking money out of your pocket. So maybe like a standard liability would be, some sort of shoe. Yeah, you do get value out of the shoe, but it's not like it's going to go up in value. So if you bought one pair of shoes, yeah, you might need runners or whatever. Everybody needs shoes. But if you got 20 pairs of runners, you're not going to be able to use them all, and they're just going to drop in value. So, it doesn't make much sense. So what you really want to do is build up your assets column so big that eventually it pays for all of your liabilities. Everything that you use in your life, your food, your clothes, your rent, your bills, absolutely everything. And that's what wealth actually is. People think wealth is a number. Oh, if I just have $1 million, I'm done. No, it's actually a ratio. It's a ratio between how much bigger are your assets compared to your liabilities.
Yeah.
And how many years can you live off of your assets? That's what true wealth is. Because if you have $1 million of cash, it's going to run out pretty damn quick. But if you had $250,000 of assets, making 20% per year, that's $50,000. If your bills and liabilities are $45,000 a year, technically you're done. So you can have less money, $250,000, but it's in an asset. It will last forever. But $1 million, spending that 45,000, what is it, like 21 years or something? You'll be gone, roughly, something like that.
Yeah. So there's a difference in like $1 million cash versus $1 million in assets.
Yeah. Or like as we were saying, $250,000 of assets. Is actually worth more than $1 million cash long
that's
term.
right. That's right. Yeah.
That was the thing it was really touching on there. The idea of wealth is like in people who don't understand how to get wealth is completely different.
Yeah.
I remember kind of really understanding it. And for some reason, that was just a light bulb moment for me. Like when you were explaining it, it was like, damn, this shit. Like you would never have heard that before unless someone tells you those things, unless you read it for the first time, unless you like, especially kind of the background that we come from, which I guess is like a major foundation to start from if your parents are wealthy, because they tell you that up front. That's how they're predominantly living their lifestyle at the moment anyway. So that's a really, really important pillar, I think, in understanding how wealth creation happens.
Yeah, what you just said then just sparked like a thought of, how like Floyd Mayweather is always like all celebrities are showing off with all their cash or like rappers and stuff, with the necklaces. It's like, you do know that's marketing towards the lower income people because you think that's special. But a rich person, a wealthy person's like, dude, that's a joke. I don't care what you got in terms of cash. Dude, you need to put that thing back in your investment app and start compounding that cash. That's pure opportunity cost, man. That's silly. But then, these guys are actually smart because it is an investment because it's on social media. Now they can promote whatever they're doing and make that money back plus some. But like, there's a bigger game being played, which the average population can't see it. Because they don't have that knowledge to be able to see it.
Yeah, she's all very nuanced, isn't she? There's like different levels to everything. Like, I think when we were first starting this chat of like building out what's an asset, what's a liability, you look at like maybe like a Louis Vuitton bag. Your first thought is, oh, that's a liability. But some of them can be assets because they actually grow, because they're rare, because of a host of other things. Same with, even with the shoes example, there's going to be classic shoes. Like there are classic cars, like there are collectibles and all that kind of stuff.
Sneakers.
Exactly. Like there's so many different nuances to this. And
I think that's a good point. Like people, we can't explain about every single asset. We're just given the basic. It puts money in your pocket, but you're just going to have to do a lot of thinking and just look at everything. Like, what's this mug doing? Is it providing me something? Is it worth it? Yes or no? And just do it with everything. But generally speaking, there's mainly like two types of assets. There's like a productive asset that actually produces some sort of value, like Amazon, where it's providing a service or a product. And then the Louis Vuitton example is more like a scarcity asset, where the only reason it goes up is, because it's a collectible, there's a limited supply. And then if there's more demand coming in for that thing, then the price has to give way and go up because people outbid each other to get their hands on it because there's hardly any of it. But
sorry, when you were talking about the thinking about the assets and liabilities in your life, I remember making a mistake a few years ago of buying like that, the Ford Ranger, the car. Like my psychology was saying, oh, this is going to be an asset because I'm going to build a business with it. So it's like you can very easily justify something that might be an asset.
Yeah.
So be really, really careful with what kind of you're writing down and looking at, and be strict on yourself, I reckon.
Yeah,
Like
for sure.
really, like if it's 100% not positive cash flow, she's in the liabilities.
Yeah.
And if she gives you like just a little bit, or she's negative, or she's neutral, I should say, and it's a bonus. But put it in the liabilities and just focus on things that are going to grow, and
Yeah.
I think you'll net out as a win.
Yeah.
So it's probably the easiest way to look at it.
And it's really hard as well because we're getting marketed at every single day saying, hey, you need to buy this, you need to buy this. If you don't have this, then you're missing out. That's pretty much what it's so then that's brainwashing us. It's changing our subconscious mind. So then that's where that justification comes in, because it's like, oh yeah, but like if I do this, so it's really easy to do for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, I think like one thing that really humbled me was like learning about it's just such a simple concept. Like an asset is something that puts money into your pocket. Liability is something that takes money out of your pocket. Like it's so basic, and it's so like fundamentally true. Like it's always going to be the truth. And like that just hit me like
Yeah.
like a brick. I was like, wow, I can't believe like I didn't even think about it this way,
Yeah.
right? But then like we are targeted, like really like specifically targeted with ads, because everyone has data on us now, so like they know what we want,
They're
right?
listening to us, son.
Yeah, they know what we want, right? So
Yeah, that's tough.
it's like initially it was really tough because I wanted to buy everything I saw, right? But then like how we implement the 3-month rule,
Yeah.
where we just sleep on it for 3 months. I think like combining that and then with like what an asset is and what a liability is, it's like it's very clear to like you probably won't purchase 99% of things that you're being targeted,
Yeah.
100%.
marketed and stuff.
Yeah, the genius of Instagram is like you're just looking at people's highlight reels like, shit, why don't I have that? Why aren't I at that great dinner? Why aren't I on that holiday? So you're literally primed to purchase things.
Yeah.
And then they target you on top of that. Man, that's so hard to go against all of that.
Yeah.
Dude, the dinners and stuff get me, and like the bloody holidays and stuff. When people are out, like the thing, and even though there's nuance to even that, it's like how do they afford that kind of stuff, et cetera, et cetera. But every time I see like someone's out in like Tulum in Mexico or something, I'm like, fuck, what am I not doing there? Or someone's out like eating at a really nice restaurant with a beautiful prawn steak. Nice prawn ribeye steak. I'm like, look at my shit. She's $6. Well, she was $6. She's fucking $14 now.
Yeah. I think the next level to like when you're thinking about assets and liabilities, you got to think at the beginning, the basics. But then the next step is like, how much money is this asset making for you in terms of percentage? Like, what is the return on investment? Is it 1%, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10? Generally speaking, the best companies all time, like Apple and Amazon, all of these, they've grown at around 30% per year on average. So that's like, use that a bit of as a guide. You might see on Instagram and stuff where people are saying, hey, this thing will 10x, tomorrow, or go up 100 times in value. That stuff does happen every now and then, but it's pretty much like hitting the lottery. So if you find something that you think is really great, just be careful, because especially when you get into this stuff, you could be fooled. You might not actually know what is great, but just be mindful of it. Same with the liabilities. Like, think how much you're actually losing from this thing. Is it actually providing you more value? Like as kids, everybody wants that show off, and they've got like the nice $30,000 car. They're straight out of high school. Well, mate, you're going to lose that much more money, that much faster. Are you actually going to use that better car to make you more money? Whereas like a real estate agent, it does work for them. If they have like a really nice car, they have that image. Now they look successful. They're probably going to get more clients, so they can actually make that money back. So for them, it's an asset. On paper, it's losing value, but how much more future business does it lead to? Whereas the kid from high school, all he's doing is a little bit Tokyo Drift in the hood. He's just burning out the rubber of his tires. That's going down even faster as well.
Yeah, for sure. I might say something. I might say something a little bit controversial here. So let me know how you go. But the idea of like, yeah, but if it's a passion of yours, then it's okay to buy
That's a good one.
I think that's a crock of shit
Yeah.
at a young age, because at a certain age, because
Yeah.
it's so pivotal to get money. Say, like, we're all investors in the stock market, to get money invested at that kind of age, so it can compound, can work for you.
Yeah.
That, like, you're wasting so much of that valuable time by having a little bit of your passion now, where, like we've spoken about it previously, if you can, sacrifice that passion for now, get your money invested, and then you can really live out that passion in your,
Yeah.
not later years, like 30, 40, 50 years, like,
Yeah. Do it proper.
yeah, sacrificing your 20 to your 30. And by sacrificing, I mean, like, you just don't get to have that $40,000 car.
Mm.
Like, it's not really that much of a sacrifice. You can still look at cars, you can learn everything about cars, you can love cars, you can go to car meets, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
You just can't own the thing yet, because later you'll be able to own so much more of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah.
So, maybe not controversial between us, but
Yeah.
people will be peaking going, oh,
Yeah.
but the internet tells us all the time I have to follow my passions. That's how I'm going to make all the money.
Yeah,
And-
a lot of youth, like I noticed with my friends in the past, they have this mindset that, oh, you're gonna be young once, and then when you get married or when you get
Yeah.
older, you can't live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's like they're peaking at a young age, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
so they go to all the music festivals, all the
Yeah.
parties, they
Yeah.
buy all the shit when they're
Yeah.
young.
Yeah. Yes.
But it's like when you get older as well, you still have time to do that.
Yeah. I think people still think like once you hit 50, it's like equivalent to hitting 100, like you're done.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like 50 years now with like the technology and what we have now, it's like it's so youthful still.
Yeah.
Mm.
That's-
You know?
yeah.
Like you got plenty of time at 50.
100%. Even like my dad's like 50 something now, right? And his knees and all that kind of stuff, they've always been shit. It's so bad. He's just got a new shoulder recently. He's getting his knees done soon. And the dude's got life back in him.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Mm.
Like his shoulder's good. He's looking like this. He's doing push-ups and
Yeah.
shit. You know? And we haven't seen him move like that in years. You know, he's got that spark back.
Yeah.
You know? And technology's allowed us to do that. So he's like reversed his age now.
Yeah.
He's younger than ever.
Yeah.
And when he gets his knees done, he's gonna be even younger.
Yeah.
You know? So
By the
guess
time
they
we're
do those
50,
things.
like technology is going to be insane.
Mm.
So
yeah,
Literally, like it's practically guaranteed. If you take good care of your health now, do your stretches, do a little bit of cardio, a little bit of weights, eat right, then at 50, you're probably gonna hit your peak.
Yeah.
At 50,
Yeah.
you start hitting your peak, then
Yeah.
it's no longer you're going downhill.
in the fighting game, aren't they? Like their peaks like considerably older than most sports.
Yeah, so I think the peak with fighting specifically is like 35.
Yeah.
And with most sports, when you're 35, you're like, mate, you should probably retire.
Yeah.
But it's like, no, that's for fighting. But
Yeah.
I think one thing is like physical age is different to like biological age, and you can like definitely be younger, youthful biologically
Yeah.
if you take good care of yourself. I mean, like at the end of the day, you are the biggest asset,
Yeah.
right? I think that's what we should talk about. Like you are the asset.
Yeah.
Take care of yourself because you can literally make whatever you want happen.
Yeah. I think in those examples as well is like, I'm not an expert on this type of stuff, but it seems like you have a natural like genetic potential.
Mm.
And maybe it is at like roughly like 35 years age. You have a genetic potential there currently. But they're like ramping up. They're training so hardcore that they hit their genetic potential and they're at that ceiling. But for us, average person, where it's not our job to become a specimen, we need more time to get,
Oh, that's
Yeah.
a good point.
So even though our genetic potential is decreasing by 50, we're actually increasing our health and fitness,
Yeah.
So
I
we'll
didn't
never
know
hit
that.
our genetic potential because it's not our job,
Yeah.
to do it, to do that.
But you know what they say about like with men, if you'll hit your peak at 25, like your
Yeah.
health peak at 25.
I disagree,
I'm
but
turning
yeah.
28 this year.
Mm.
I feel young as hell. Like I feel like I haven't even gone near my peak.
Yeah.
I'm turning 25 and I just did AMI. So let me tell you, if this is my peak, I'm fucked.
It's all right, son. Stem cells.
Hey boys, I have a question. So correct me if I'm wrong, but what we're talking about. So I feel like we're talking about one specific mindset right now. There is another mindset that we should talk about, which is like the fear mindset. The
Mm.
person that doesn't spend money on like they don't invest their money at all because they're scared.
Ah, scarcity mindset.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's a good one. I
Yeah.
reckon.
because they're scared. They don't buy like any books or like even sometimes even courses
Yeah.
Yeah.
because they're scared of where that money's going.
And this is like the same person that wouldn't even invest as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like whenever you make your money from your job, you're just saving every penny.
Yeah.
That was my parents, to be honest. They didn't really invest in anything except for real estate, which they knew something about, but like just like what you said, man, they had like that scarcity mindset, and it rubs off on us, you know, as kids.
Yeah.
To be cheap.
Yeah. I think the thing is from those people, sometimes they do have a little tiny bit of wisdom because they understand what they know and they understand what they don't know.
Yes.
So they understand, oh, if I go invest in my money, I'm probably going to lose it all, which is true,
It's true. Yeah.
you know. But the flip side of that is like, just think positive, man. Just read some books.
Yeah.
And you can find out how to make money. It's not that hard.
Yeah.
Spend the money on fixing the knowledge gap.
Yeah.
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 There's a quote I heard. I heard in a song actually, but it's called "Scared money don't make no money."
Oh, really?
So if you don't, it's scared money, like people that don't invest, they
Yeah.
don't make any money.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Shout out YG.
Let's go, YG.
But at the same time as well, you know, society does tell us, especially in that hashtag, you know, motivation, hashtag grind set stuff. People are like, oh man, to be successful, you got to take big risks in life and
Yeah.
do all that.
Yeah.
Where if you see most wealthy people, they have a mindset like, I don't want to get rich the fastest. I want to get rich guaranteed, or I want to get rich for sure. So usually when they're investing, each investment, if they have extremely high conviction and confidence in something, they usually only put, you know, 1% of their money in it sometimes, maybe 2%, maybe a little bit higher. Yeah, so like if that went to zero, you know, if you lost 1 or 2%, who cares? You can't even notice the thing. Whereas, you know, if you put 100% of your money in just one thing, that's highly, highly risky. Very few people have actually become successful by doing that as a percentage.
And
Most
you hear
people
about
fail.
them though,
Yeah,
don't you?
yeah. That's
Like
the best
Instagram.
story.
Yeah, Instagram was the market that 14-year-old dropshipper is now a billionaire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The guy who bought that cryptocurrency or that NFT.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All that kind of
Yes,
stuff.
it's weird. So now I'm coming across like another mindset where it's like people are scared to invest in things that are like the S&P 500, something that's certain, like long term. I don't know if they're scared or if they can't be bothered waiting, but they want to invest in like something that like the NFTs or crypto, something that makes them quick money.
I reckon it's the waiting for sure. It's the
Yeah.
patience,
waiting,
man.
yeah.
They don't have
Yeah.
patience. And the lack of knowledge. They don't know the risk they're taking on board.
Yeah.
Less marketed path. They've heard less about that, more about dropshipping.
True.
Something like people don't realize, and I think we're starting to learn it now, like with our TikTok, is it's very easy. Like there's certain pieces of content where we just know it'll get way more clicks. You know, like say like the Will Smith, he just you know slapped what's his name, Chris Rock.
Dude.
We could have like done so many like gossipy things about that.
Yeah.
Just got all these short-term clicks, but it's not actually helping anybody.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing. Like if you've got an investment YouTube channel, a lot of them just pivot to whatever is hot, so they make more views and they can sell you more courses.
Yeah.
So if crypto is hot, all right, they go to the crypto. If a subsector of crypto is hot, like DeFi, then they just go there, or NFTs or whatever it happens to be, they will flip in a heartbeat.
Because their business is in courses.
Yeah, their business in courses,
Yeah.
social media.
Yeah.
They market themselves as like a really smart investor,
Yeah.
but they don't make any money investing.
Yeah.
They make their money from the courses. Yeah.
I saw this guy. I can't remember what his name was, but he literally keeps changing his name from NFT back to crypto, back to NFT, back to
Dude,
crypto,
no way.
and every time like he changes, it's like the bottom of the dip.
He's a good indicator, boys.
The hell? But you guys still reckon like doing those kind of models, there's still like although the trend changes regularly, there's still like an erase or bottom because you're one mistake away from like getting influencing your entire audience to losing something really badly, which is going to ruin your reputation. Once you ruin your reputation, you're GG boys.
GG. All you need to do is go on CoffeeZilla, You see it, want to ruin your reputation as we speak.
CoffeeZilla is a great filter.
Yeah.
Anyone that you find sketchy or you just want to know more about, type in their name and then put CoffeeZilla at the end of it, and then hit enter. And if they come up on CoffeeZilla, it's a red flag, boys.
She's a major red flag.
Watch the video because it'll be amazing.
Yeah. That's good.
Something else that's like really super important, and it's boring as to talk about this stuff, but it's just like having a really good budget. You know, knowing how much money you're actually saving, how much money is actually getting to get dedicated to investing in either yourself with knowledge or your actual investments one day when you know how to invest. Because it's so easy, especially with, again, how society's set up. Just a click of a button or tap, pay pass this, click this, Face ID this, doing all these things where you don't actually hold cash anymore. Like a lot of people, they're big proponents of literally withdrawing $500 every week from the ATM and then just spending it like that because you feel it, you feel the pain more rather than, just tapping everything. Like it's a really good idea to like literally go through your bank statement. It's boring. No one wants to. Painful. No one wants to do it. And then just look at your average month and then, check the last 6 months and see what your average of those last 6 months are. You're going to be surprised. Yeah. You're going to be really surprised.
If you feel pain in looking at your bank statements, chances are you're spending too much money on liabilities.
Like if you don't want to do it, then you already kind of like subconsciously know, right? You're like,
like subconsciously, and like we've literally all done that.
Yeah.
All four of us.
Yeah.
It's fucking painful. It sucks. Budgeting sucks, but it's so key to like identifying how much assets you have, how much liabilities you have.
Yeah.
what are some of the main ones you reckon, boys, that people don't realize that are getting them?
Oh, food.
I reckon subscriptions.
Yeah,
subscriptions, yeah.
Yeah, because it's
sure.
like so easy to miss. It's like it could be like $5 a month,
Yeah.
but then if you have like 10 of those,
yeah.
It's the same. Subscriptions of food is the
Yeah.
big.
And subscriptions, they do it on purpose because it changes your psychology literally like the pay pass. All they need to do is sell you once that this is a good thing.
Mm.
And then the money just keeps coming out, and you can't notice it coming out.
yeah,
The smaller number,
Yeah.
like she's only $5 a month, but she's still
Yeah.
however much a year, and if you, depending on the amount and depending on your financial position, that can be a big difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, she gets you.
Yeah.
The food, dude, I found food was the biggest one.
Oh, yeah. She's a big boy now.
Dude, you're like, man, I spend $70 a week. We're just talking about it, joking about it.
70.
Huh? But no, as a youngin,
70.
previously. So yeah, the story starts with like, I was only spending $70 a week. You're like, man, have a quick double check. Yeah, I spent like 3/5. Bit of exaggeration, but yeah, it's easily $200. You'd be surprised how easily $200 on food.
Oh, when I first moved out, it was the funniest thing. I didn't know how to do shopping for myself. So I went and did shopping and I was spending like $200 a week. I'm like, bro, what am I buying? Now I
What
learned
were
to
you
like bring
buying?
it down. Oh, just like, I just bought everything I thought I needed, like veggies, fruits. Cause I was living at home.
So you were buying too much of it.
Yeah, I was buying too much. And then everything was going off. And I'm like, man, why am I going shopping every week, spending $200? And then I realized like, oh, you can actually, buy cheaper stuff. And
Yeah.
How's the old buy food and get Uber Eats?
Oh, dude, I've done that so many
Dude,
times.
that's the
man.
fuck. That's the
Not
one that
proud of
gets me.
it. Not proud of it, but yeah.
It gets me.
So like growing up, my parents used to buy like Woolies branded like foods and stuff. Like, I'm
Yeah.
like, moving out of home, now I know why.
yeah.
Because it's like it's almost the same thing,
Yeah.
right?
Dude, when I lived at home, I hated Aldi. I hated it. I was like, because I hated their stuff. I feel like it didn't taste as good as Woolies.
Yeah.
It's probably just a psychology thing.
Yeah.
But now I love Aldi.
Yeah.
It's
Aldi's
so
the
much
best,
cheaper.
man. It's my
This is a touch bougie. Is a touch bougie, but the only big difference I see in like home brand stuff to like not is bread.
Oh, yes. Yeah,
Bakery bread is like
yeah.
just next level
Yeah.
shit.
There's a few things where you like you might as
Yeah.
well spend the money on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. But if you're starting out, you don't need bougie bread.
You just need tuna and beans.
You need the cheap bread. Multigrain as well.
need
The one
bread
that
that's
tastes
not-
bad.
You need bread that's not real bread.
You need to make your own bread. You just need flour and milk, and salt. That's it.
And time.
Clearly, no, someone doesn't know how to make bread.
Dude, oh, when you make that, can you make it like a motivational video?
What?
Like add the motivational music
Oh, okay.
behind that.
Gotcha, son.
He's thinking in his head, was that's the best clip. You watch that back and you're like, fuck.
Another thing is, everybody says cash is king, right? Everybody says cash is king, but what do the wealthy say? They say something completely different, which is cash is trash, because literally of inflation, right?
Right.
And in simple terms, the way inflation works is, if we have $100 note, it's going to be worth less next year. It's practically guaranteed. It's highly, highly unlikely that it goes up in value, right? Why? Because at the end of the day, the government's going to be printing roughly about 3%, making more of this thing. The more you make of something, it becomes less rare. When something becomes less rare, the value of it or the price of it goes down. So that's why, people, $100 used to be a whole week's income, and, even more. I mean, even less than that would be your whole week's income. But now $100, she's half a day, or some people a third of a day's pay. So, it's hardly anything these days. So you literally got to understand that over long periods of time, cash is actually an extremely risky investment. It's guaranteed to lose money. It's safe short term because 3% fluctuations here and there won't matter. 1 or 2 years though, 3 years at 3%, you lost about 10% of your money there.
Yeah.
I think it's also easy to not realize.
Yeah.
Like, you may notice it in something, fuel or food, now and then, but like this has been happening for years and years and years, and now that's like in the news, it's something that people are realizing.
Yeah.
But I feel like people realize it like every few years. Like, fuck, this used to cost me half the price.
Yeah.
What's going on here? You don't realize it year on year on year. It's always like looking back.
Yeah.
I've found anyway.
I think an analogy as well for this is like my famous chicken drumstick analogy, where if you had a chicken drumstick, and imagine like this chicken drumstick just didn't rot, right? Let's just say that chicken drumstick is worth $1 today. Then 10 years down the line, if Chris or any of you guys had a chicken drumstick and I had one too, you would happily swap my chicken drumstick. Just imagine somehow it stayed fresh. It's the same bloody thing. They're both chicken drumsticks. So that means they're equal. A chicken drumstick is still equal to a chicken drumstick. But the price of it or the value of it has actually gone up. It's gone from $1 probably to $2 or $3 by then for that same good. And it's not that the value actually went up. It looks like that. The price went up. What actually happened is because of inflation, the thing required to buy that, which is dollars, they've gone down in value. So now you need more of that less valuable thing, which is the dollars. So you need a whole bunch more dollars to buy the same chicken drumstick. So it's going to happen with it, with everything.
It's a common term that people have heard with that example is like purchasing power has gone down. Someone's purchasing power is lesser. I just always hear stories. Like, fuck, that's the best story. And I go look for it. I'm like, fuck, what does that mean? Like, how do I actually look it up? Like, purchasing power is how you find more examples of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you can type in on Google Images as well, like purchasing power of the US dollar as a graph. And she's just like straight off a cliff.
Yeah.
She's getting that weak.
Yeah.
She's
I
the
typed
worst.
in chicken drumstick.
Purchasing
hungry
power.
now.
Duck came up.
I'm fucking hungry now.
Dude, you said it 4 times. Googling and shit.
Adding on to that like chicken drumstick analogy, there's literally like places right now in the world, mostly like South American countries where the inflation is so high. Some people, like as soon as they get paid, they will literally trade their physical cash for like a good. So like it could be like milk, or it could be literally cigarettes.
Yeah.
People literally pay other people in cigarettes because the cigarette holds more value than the actual cash.
Yeah.
Those are extreme cases of inflation.
Yeah.
But you can see like the value of the cash just drops so much. You need more of that cash to buy that same thing.
That goes back to like when we're talking about assets, like not all assets are created equal. Some or liabilities are created equal. And it's like currencies, they're not created equal as well. Like some currencies, they just lose that much more money, that much faster, literally faster than a good. It's weird.
It's weird. It's so weird. Like when you go, I literally saw a video of someone pumping gas in Venezuela, So this is like literally like after they got their pay from their job. It's literally like you're carrying ice. It's melting. Your cash is
Oh,
literally
yeah.
melting, right? They were filling up their fuel, and the guy paid for like a full tank with just one cigarette.
Mm.
Yeah.
Then he drives across the border and sells it for 20 grand.
Yeah, something like that. It's crazy how they live
Yeah.
in those places.
Yeah, you're right, man. 100%. What do we got?
Just like a little small one is like you just always want to pay yourself first. That's a very common phrase among the wealthy. It's like whenever you get paid from your job, then you take that money and you invest in yourself. You pay yourself first, either by some sort of knowledge or usually it's an asset. So like we are talking before, like you can't get rich from just a job alone, but at the beginning you will have to work at a job. Then when you're working at your job, any entry level job or whatever job it happens to be, if you're getting paid more, that's even better. But you need to pay yourself more first, and then acquire assets. Eventually, you'll acquire so much assets it covers all your liabilities, and then you're sweet and you can retire. Yeah.
Well said.
All right, boys. Who wants to explain a little bit of compound interest and the graph?
Well, I'll be honest, I can't see the example.
You want me to do it? Yeah, you go. You got
Okay, so
Best angle on it.
there's two people, person A, person B, and we're going to compare them over a 45-year window.
Mm.
Person A and person B, they're both 20 years old at this stage, and we're going to assume that they both retire at 65 years old. Person A chooses not to invest and just to save money. So person A is saving $100 into their bank account, and their bank account gives them 1% interest on their money. And they do this for 45 years, and at the end, by the time they retire, person A is left with $293,000 in the bank. Now, compare that to person B, who is also 20 years old, saving $100, but then investing that into a broad index fund like the S&P 500 for 45 years and making 10% on their money. At the end, by the time person B is 65 years old, person B is now retiring with $3.7 million invested.
God damn.
So person B ends up with 3.7 million. Person A ends up with 293,000.
That's the power of compound interest.
It's just not linear at all.
Yeah. And the reason why it's not linear is because like if you're constantly making 10%, then with that money you got 10% more of it. Now you've got a bigger sum of money. If you make 10% on top of that, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and it just compounds and snowballs. It's like that big, you see those cartoons where a snowball falls off the cliff, just grows into this massive, massive thing.
Yeah.
So because of that compound effect, you literally did the same amount of work but got 10 times the results. 293K compared to 3.7 mil. That's wild.
And that's like 293K in cash.
Yep.
And you're not factoring in inflation once you retire.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah,
person B is going to retire really nicely.
Absolutely.
And
It's pretty intense.
Yeah, and the reason why we chose that 45 years as well is because the average retirement age in Australia is 65.
Yeah.
So if you start at 20 and do that for 45 years, you retire at 65. But how many 65-year-olds have 3.7 mil?
Mm-hmm.
It's quite a big difference. And then that's just that broad index fund, which is like, that's what we call the gold standard. That's just like pretty basic. Usually when a wealthy guy looks at investments, if they don't know where to put their money, they normally just put it in an index fund because they know over time it should make roughly around 10%. But the goal as a wealthy person is to try your best to find a way to beat that. If you can't find a way, that's fine. Be honest with yourself and just invest in the index. Nothing wrong with 10%. But yeah, that's like the mindset of how to think about this stuff. I think one more thing to just really hammer it home about compound interest is imagine they retire at 65, right? All the figures are the same, but imagine the next year on how much money they make. Person A makes nothing because, it's 1% of 293. Person B makes $370,000, which is bigger than all of that person A's entire life working.
Yeah.
That's a bloody
So at
stat that is.
age 66, person B passively making $370,000. Person A making $0. Has 290,000.
They're cutting into the 293,000.
Cutting into the
Yeah.
293,000.
Yeah.
That is insane.
Absolutely.
Another thing about compound interest as well is like the best people, like in companies, were saying they compound about 30% if you could find them. But most best investors, they can compound around 20% for very long periods of time. If you can do that and you find a way to do that, if you just invest $10,000 once off at the age of 20 and never add to it ever again, after 50 years of constantly getting 20%, it turns into $91 million. So the sad reality is for us here is we always have like friends of our parents and stuff like that are in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and they're asking, hey, like, how can I get my life on track in terms of finances? And they're like, oh, it always happens. I've got $10,000. Where should I invest it? The sad thing is we can't help these people that much because they lack the most important thing. The wealthy get rich from time. It's time and that patience. Because with 10 grand at 50, you do have a bit of time, but each decade that passes by, it's barely doing anything. And you kind of do want to get wealthy, in my opinion. I think our opinion as well is you want to get wealthy at quite a young age.
Absolutely.
So you can enjoy life more, faster. And then that sparks the argument of like people that were saying, oh, I just want to live life now. Well, hey, at the end of the day, if you live life now, you have fun now, you're going to have more years which are harder.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if you sacrifice now, you can sacrifice for just literally like 5 years. And you can have the rest of your life from 25 onwards just free. So this is like the kind of mindset. There's not much difference between having fun at 20 compared to 25. You're still young.
I'm telling you, there's no difference. Like, some of our best mates are 30 years old, and they're the same age as us.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
There's no difference.
It is the same thing. I promise you. When you're 18, you look at a 25-year-old like they got life sorted out. They got no idea. When you're 25, you look at a 30-year-old like they know what they're doing. It's all the same age. It's all the same thing. You feel the same. You look damn well similar. It's just about the position that you're in because of the choices you've made at that certain age. How quickly you realize what you need to do to kind of do what you love for as long as possible.
And the reality of money as well, like we're talking in the previous podcast, is the reality of money is it buys back time. With time, it's the most valuable asset. You can spend it however you want with your family, your friends, doing whatever you enjoy, your hobbies, all of this stuff, have fun. Or you could, invest in your health. You have more time to be physically fit, which then gives you more time again because you're healthier. You're going to, die at a later age if everything goes right. And then if you're building up all of this wealth, you might have so much time that not only can you focus on your passions and stuff, but you literally feel almost obliged to help others. And, there's that saying that money is not doesn't result in happiness, but a wise monk maybe that's not a monk. A wise man once said, because monks don't really have money. A wise man once said that actually the key to happiness is actually money, but you just need to give it away. So I think there's a bit of truth there, and that's what Hardcore Headstart's about. That's pretty much our story, and eventually we want to sort ourselves out, our family out, and then we want to look at people that are less fortunate. Like when we're talking about currencies, it's so hard in those places like Venezuela or other places throughout the world. How do you actually get ahead? Because you can't even afford internet. We're so lucky here in Australia. We have all the opportunity in the world.
Absolutely, man. 100%. What a message.
All right, fellas. That was a bit of a beauty of a podcast. What else we
That was
got?
a ripper.
Just quietly, that was a banger. Hey? Not bad. All right, should we do our closing? Any closing thoughts, gentlemen?
No, I think everything was covered. I got
That
nothing
was.
to say.
That was.
Yeah, I'm starving. I'm feeling the chicken drumstick, boys.
Better eat it now.
As always, please like, comment on the video, let us know what you thought. Make sure you do your budgets, and if you need any help with them, message any one of us, DM us on Instagram, and we will do our best to help you out. We touched on the TikTok a few times in this video, so make sure you go check it out. Follow, share it to your friends, subscribe, and we will see you in the next one.
Pack her up.
Pack it up.
Back her up.
Back her up. Thank you for listening.